this app called Songbook, and Mr. Walker had us download it from the app catalog, and it's there for everyone else except me. So iPads are a piece of equipment that the school bought and paid for with hundreds and thousands of dollars to cut down on paper use, among other things. The thing is that they seem to be more like paper weights than anything. The teachers in our classes, many of them don't even use the iPads in class and instead use hard copy papers, and that kind of defeats the purpose of having them. It would be a lot more helpful as well if the iPads weren't, the applications that made the iPads useful weren't all cut off.
Now, technically, they're not supposed to make lease-to-own iPad students download the AirWatch app catalog, but they made me do it. And now I have it on my iPad, and it's an inconvenience for me. Are the app locks fair? Why or why not?
I think they're mostly fair because we still have access to the educational apps we need. I mean, if you want an app for recreational purposes, get your own iPad for yourself. This is a school-issued iPad.
How often do you use your iPad in school?
Not very much. My teachers don't really usually like the iPads that much.
Do you like the apps that the school lets us have?
Yeah, I think they have more than enough that I need for school. I've only downloaded about 5 apps, and they're plenty for me.
How often do you use your iPad for non-school related activities?
About an hour a week tops, because I usually use my phone for other things like that.
Do you think the app locks are fair, and why?
I don't think they're fair because there's some apps where students prefer it over the ones that are available on the app catalog.
How often do you use your iPad for school-related things?
I use it most of the day, probably for 4 of my classes, and the rest is just kind of sitting in my backpack.
Do you like the apps that they let us use?
No, not really, because the apps that we do use could always be purchased for free from the Apple Store.
How often do you use your iPad for non-school related things?
I don't really use my iPad outside of school, but occasionally I would go on some websites just to read stuff.
So 2 weeks ago-ish, I had a Spanish project due and I had to put it in a Keynote because it was a presentation. I typed in Keynote, whatever, found it, and clicked the download button. And then a pop-up window came up and was like, are you sure you want to download this, blah, 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 blah. So I hit accept and it did nothing. So I tried it again, and it did nothing. So I tried it 3 more times throughout the day at school, and then tried it 4 or 5 times once I got home, thinking maybe it was a problem with the Wi-Fi, because they were screwing with the Wi-Fi at that point. So I just downloaded the app on my phone. But then I was worried that my teacher was going to be mad at me if I took my phone out during class, because we had to present them. So I ended up just doing it on paper, which is fine, but my teacher wanted it through Keynote.